Welcome to the podcast, where we teach you how to create marketing that pops. Get ready for refreshing conversations with industry experts, trendsetters, and creative minds that'll leave you bubbling with inspiration. Get ready to turn up the volume on your business. Let's get popping. Welcome back to Marketing That Pops. I'm Olivia
and Michele.
And today we are joined by Asia Dore. Asia, please give a little introduction and tell everybody about yourself.
Sure. Well, good morning, Michele and Olivia. First of all, so happy to be here. I'm really excited to nerd out with you guys. There's no better way to start the day than by talking about branding and marketing.
Absolutely.
To a good start. I'm Asia Dore. I am a brand strategist, and I help entrepreneurs build brands that position them as experts. A lot of times when you are an expert, because you have so many skills, so much knowledge, so much education, all of this experience, you've probably developed your own methods and modalities and frameworks and unique perspectives, and it starts to kind of all feel like a jumble in your brain. You know, it can feel really obvious to you what you're an expert in and the problem you solve. But when it comes to communicating that to other people, that's where a lot of experts get tripped up because they aren't sure how to translate all of their brilliance into a message that other people who aren't experts in the thing you're an expert in actually understand. So that's what I help them do. I've worked with clients in many different industries. I've worked with product-based businesses, but I think I've found my sweet spot recently is working with service providers who are in a position where they still want to provide their service, like they're still very much passionate about the service they provide, but they're also transitioning into more of a role of a thought leader, whether they know it or not, where they would really like their ideas and perspectives and unique stances and worldview to be sought after just as much as the service they're providing. So those are the clients that I'm really excited about working with right now.
With every episode, as I know you said you listened to a few, we like to start off with a myth that you get to debunk. Your myth is when it comes to marketing strategy, and sometimes businesses think that you can just copy and paste the same methods that worked for a certain brand or business. What do you have to say to that?
How much time do we have?
You've got all day.
I'll start by saying, yes, I do. I do think that is a myth. I think that what works for you might not or probably won't work for me. There's just too much variety and nuance and circumstances in all of us. It varies from industry to industry what's going to work. It varies from personality to personality what's going to work. I do think, however, there's a lot of value in trying stuff. Just trying stuff, right? Without attaching to any kind of outcome about it, without thinking, okay, this is the one thing that's going to finally, push my business forward. Or even like, oh, well, that worked for them. That could never work for me. So I'm not even going to try it at all. I think there's so much value in being willing to experiment, being willing to fail, quote unquote, fail, because you're going to learn something. Like it sounds really cliche, but it's true. There might be certain parts of some strategies that feel good, that work, and then other parts that are like, okay, I'm going to not do that part, but I'm going to do this part of it. I just think there's a lot of value in trying. At the same time, it can get dangerous when you see all of these success stories, like this shiny marketing or this amazing piece of content that's like, here's exactly how I made $1 billion in 2 hours working from the pool with my laptop, right? Like, it's really, it feels so shiny and magnetic, and you're like, yes, I want that. But a lot of times when we see those messages, we're missing a lot of context. They're not sharing a lot of context. It's like, okay, maybe that's true, but you also spent the last 15 years setting up everything you need in order to have that win. Right? Or maybe you have a team of 100 people to help you out. We just don't know a lot of the context about claims like that, about strategies that worked for someone else. Discernment, I think, is important. But just to try stuff and get to know yourself and get to know what works for your audience and what feels good, I think that's the only way to figure out a marketing strategy that's really going to work. Unless you just hire an agency, like unless you're just like, Olivia and Michele, I need help. You figure this out for me, then you can outsource the figuring out. But if you're on your own to start, experimenting is key.
Yeah, I think that's really
Yes.
important. And that's what marketing is, right? Hey, let's try this campaign. Let's see if it works. And every company is so different. And we're saying what's going to work for me is not going to work for you because of the way I run my company or because of all these different nuances that happen. And I like testing out campaigns. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting different results. You have to change it up, right? You can always do A/B testing. And I've done campaigns that killed it. And so I'm like, okay, I got it. I'm going to like do this over and over and over. Guess what? The second time I did it, nothing. I just got to catch it at the right time. The exact message has to be right for that audience. Otherwise, it's not going to kill it. And I know so many people come and say, what's the one thing I should do? You got to do about like 50 things, at one time. So,
Right.
And because everybody responds differently. Some people are going to respond to an email. Some people are going to respond to visual. Some people are going to respond on social. Some people are going to be driving by your building and see your sign and be like, that's a really cool logo. What do they do? You're right. It's very unique to the personality. And I feel like as you grow, you start, instead of like worrying about pleasing everybody, you start figuring out this is what works for me. And this is why I'm starting to be successful because I'm really being myself and being authentic. That's really the key. And it's hard to teach that.
Something I'll add is just any businesses that want to work with us, any one of us, is being willing to play. That's an important key, is being willing to play and experiment because you need that. Just like you guys both have been saying, like you have to be able to test things. And like to Michelle's point, sometimes you hit it and it's like, oh my gosh, this is great. But maybe the next time it doesn't work so well. So let's figure out why that worked. Was it the timing? What was the situational? And then you can look at the data to kind of enforce what you are going to do next.
Yeah.
So any brands out there, just make sure that you're open-minded when you come to work with any one of us.
Yeah.
I love what you said about playing. I think marketing becomes so much more fun when I don't want to say to do it without strategy, right? We still need the strategy, but to release the outcome of what happens, because we can control what we do. We can control what we say and how we say it and where and when we say it, but we can't control who sees it. We don't know when someone's going to be scrolling. We don't know when someone's in the mood to listen to a podcast episode, which is why it's so important to share a message consistently, but also to know that something you create might not be seen immediately. It could be seen 5 months or years down the line. Someone finds it, they're like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I needed to hear. Who is this person? Who is this agency? I need them in my life. And we can't control that. To just remember that everything we're doing, all of the efforts we're putting out, especially if they're strategic, they're all adding up. And we can't control what that is. I think it makes it so much more fun to just be a little bit more free about, I'm going to put out this really great thing. I feel good about it. It's strategic, but also who knows what'll happen.
Yeah. And consistency is key too. Even with podcasts, if you're just going to do one every few months, nobody's going to listen because it's not consistent. You're not staying in front of them over and over and over again. It takes time to build that audience. And we do a lot of marketing and drips and things like that. And for example, yesterday, Olivia and I were talking with somebody and they saw us at an event a year ago. It's just now responding. It just has to be, you need to understand it's going to be on their timing, not yours. And so I know I'm very impatient. It's hard, but you just got to keep going, keep trucking, and it'll come. It'll come. It's just a matter of sticking with it and being consistent.
Asia, I'd love to hear a little bit about how you found your way into this kind of creative industry.
Yeah, it wasn't planned. I definitely did not plan it. I started my business in 2014 as a photographer. And even that, I didn't really mean to start a business. I just was interested in photography. So I tried it out. I posted my pictures. People started asking how much I charged. And I was like, oh, light bulb moment. Like, this could be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I worked my way through niches within photography, wedding portraits, all the stuff. And then I found my way to brand photography. And while I was working with these incredible entrepreneurs who were brilliant at what they did, or if they were making a product that was super high quality, they knew their stuff. They knew what they were doing. But when I asked them to explain their brands to me so I could photograph for it, it was kind of just like deer in the headlights, like, I don't know, blues and greens. I'm like, that's not a brand. Those are just colors. So let's kind of figure this out. The strategy piece became a really important part of my work as a photographer, because if I don't understand your brand, how am I going to create photographs that represent it? And then in 2020, I realized I'm a little burnt out of the photography aspect, and also the strategy is the really exciting part for me. I just dropped the photography altogether and now just strictly do the strategies. I kind of stumbled upon it. It was like a journey here that I wouldn't have never predicted, but
Isn't it always that way, though?
Yes, it's like the most fun things come when we just follow curiosity and follow the paths and experiment. That's how I got here.
Awesome. When you are talking with a client and you're taking them through your process, what is like taking them from like that ideation stage all the way to visual execution?
I'm not a designer. I don't do anything visual for my clients. I strictly focus on the strategy. I'm going to let the designers decide. Go find someone who's a designer. Essentially, the process that I take my clients through is the method that I've developed, which is the Strategy Audacity Method. And this method came out of me because I realized that a lot of people, especially solo entrepreneurs who are building personal brands, will do it in one of two ways. They'll either be super strategic, where everything is by the book, all of the boxes are checked off, the guidelines are black and white, and it's a box, and we do not deviate from the plan, right? And then the other way is where they're just do kind of whatever they want. They say whatever they want when they feel like it. There's no real structure. They're multi-passionate, and they let that influence the way that they show up, and it's very audacious, right? They're just showing up as them, but there's no strategy involved. I realize that you really need both if you want a brand that is both effective and unique, that is both profitable and impactful. You need equal parts of both. The method that I bring them through has sort of 5 pillars. We start out with the vision. Step number 1, we figure out, what are you really trying to accomplish beyond just making a profit? And what impact do you want to make with your work? What gaps do you want to fill? What problems are you trying to solve with your product and service? And then we move on to step 2, which is the catalyst. That's you. We decide how all of your skills and your knowledge and your experience and all the stuff I mentioned before, your education, how does it all add up to form a really definitive expertise that makes you uniquely qualified to make that impact that we figured out in number 1, to solve that problem that you want to solve. And then we move on to the client, the ideal client, the most important part of a brand, as you guys know. Who's going to benefit most from this expertise that you have? Why are they going to care about what you do? Why are they going to care about the impact that you want to make it? This is where we zoom in, right? Now that we know the impact you want to make on the world, how does that affect your clients in their literal day-to-day lives to make their lives better? Step 4 is called the soul. This is where we refine your real personality, your beliefs, your ideals, who you actually are, into an identity that is cohesive, but also genuine. We're not manufacturing an identity. We're just refining who you already are so that you can be specific and strategic. You can also be a real human and not just a business, because that's important when you're building a personal brand. Then the last step is just the message, where we package up everything we figured out into a really clear and concise message that empowers you to show up frequently and consistently, like we've already talked about. That's important. so that you can say the same thing over and over and over and over and over again in a lot of different ways. We want to be repeating the same core brand message, but how do we figure out how to say it new and fresh and exciting so that your audience continues to pay attention, so that you can get the attention of multiple people whose brains work in different ways, but also so that you stay excited about what you're saying? Because they say the way you know you're repeating your brand message enough is if you're just bored of it. You're bored of your brand. You're bored of what you're saying. How can I possibly say this any clearer? You have this problem. I can solve it. Hire me. Work with me. When we have that core brand message, it allows us to say the same thing over and over again in different ways. So that is the method that I typically take my clients through when they work one-to-one with me. And then I pull part of that out whenever I create a new digital product or mini service.
How many people do you think skip that part and just jump to logo?
I don't like 99.9999. I mean, you guys know this. Like, that's probably why people originally come to you. They're like, well, I need a brand. Create my brand for me. And it's like, well, that's not really how it works, right? There's more work to do. And I never refer my clients to designers who don't have a strategy aspect behind it. So it's not going to make any sense. A pretty logo is great, but if it doesn't actually represent what you're really trying to do here, it's just pretty. And pretty isn't strategic. Does that number feel accurate for you guys as well, the 99.9?
Yeah.
Oh,
Sure.
100%.
Yeah. And I always say strategy is the most important thing because that will establish your goals. I'm doing this because I want this. And if we don't know what that is, we can't really recommend the right marketing for you. And it's so important. And sometimes people just want to jump to I just need posts on my social. I need them right now, like yesterday. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Is that the right avenue? Is that where your audience is even hanging out? Just because everybody else is doing it, does that mean that's what you should be doing? You kind of touched on this, but like your ideal client, who is that? Where are they hanging out? What do they care about? And figuring out the positioning of, okay, it's my ideal client. Here's their personas. Here's what's important. Okay, let's talk to them. It's going to connect you and them.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part, is trying to get the positioning right, because it's so easy to go look at competitors where they're doing this or they're doing that. Maybe that's what we should do. But now you're losing yourself, right? You're losing who you really are. And you have to just keep reminding ourselves, our clients, all of those things.
Yeah.
We just went through a new website, refresh. And
looks amazing, by the way.
Thanks. Olivia was lead on that. So go, Olivia. I'm sure I drove her nuts because I just kept saying, but we have to get the positioning right. Is the positioning right? It's hard, especially as your own company. It's so much harder.
Oh, yeah.
I would have hired you to help me, like develop what that was, because you question yourself. You're like, what? I don't know. Maybe. Is it? I don't know. Maybe we should do, it's very frustrating as a business owner trying to come up with your own. It's so easy to go do your clients and go, oh, well, this is what you should do. But when it comes to your own, you want to get it so perfect that sometimes you got to let it go.
Ironic that that's the way to do it, to let it go. It's like they say you can't see the label from inside the jar, right? You guys are so lucky that you have it seems like you have a really great team. So I'm sure being able to bounce ideas, but even then, everybody's still in it. That's why getting that outside perspective can be so helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. One of the things that you kind of touched on as you were taking us through your process was just talking about the pain points and talking about, you're discussing these things and getting to know your brands and your clients, talking about the pain points that they solve and the solutions that they provide. I feel like that's always kind of like our bread and butter when we talk to our clients, is trying to figure out what those solutions are. Because as the companies, it's just, well, this is the end result, not necessarily taking that step back to really think, okay, but what is the solution that I'm actually providing? I'm glad that you brought that up.
It's also, I don't know, maybe we can have a conversation about this since you guys are experts on marketing, but there's this conversation happening online right now that pain point marketing is unethical. It's like any tool, it can be used for good or evil, right? You can use a hammer to build a house or you could bash someone's head with it. The
True.
fact is, you have to know what your clients are going through and struggling with if you're going to present solutions to them. Otherwise, how are they going to know that you understand or that you have a solution at all? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that.
I hear that all the time. A lot of it is just experience, right? As you start meeting with clients, you hear them complaining about, well, I was with this other marketing agency and they didn't do anything, or my clients want this. It takes experience and for you to understand what your ideal client problems are. I know for us, they always want to see the ROI. I'm going to spend this much, and are you going to guarantee that I'm going to? No, we never guarantee. And I would say, don't ever go with a company if they're promising that this will happen. I can guarantee, because that they're totally lying. It's just getting to understand what the problems are. Can you solve them? If you can't, tell them. Yeah, I don't think that we're going to be a good fit because I don't feel comfortable promising that, yes, you're going to get this many leads. It depends. I know people hate that, but it really does. There's so many variables that could happen and impact things. It could be your industry is going through something. It really just does depend on what's happening. Listening to your clients, that's the most important thing, is understanding, oh, hey, they're frustrated when this happens. Or like, I think the biggest complaint that I hear when I meet with potential clients are communication is number one. They weren't doing any, maybe they were, but they just weren't telling you that they were doing things. And one of the things that we always talk about is like meeting with the clients regularly, whether it's weekly, sometimes it's twice a week, sometimes it's just once a week, sometimes it's once a month, but the consistency of communicating what you're doing, reminding that we're doing this, we're stuck because we need you to approve this. Otherwise, we can't keep moving forward. We're in a holding spot. Those types of things. And just holding each other accountable too. You want us to do marketing for you, but we need you because we're learning your company. We're learning what's important to you. We're learning what's important to your clients. And if we don't know that, we cannot build you a marketing strategy and plan and implementation. It takes two. One thing that we always say is you have to be involved, and you don't have to do the work. We'll do the work for you, but we still need to understand things about your company. I always tell people it's like we're a full-time employee. You need to train us on your business.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, because there's so many things that happen within a company that on a day-to-day basis that have changed. And then we're going down this road of building out this campaign. And then this other thing happened in their office. Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you, we're not going to do that anymore. It's like, what? I know this happens with Olivia a lot. She'll be in a campaign for a dispensary and it's this particular product and then it's getting ready to get sent out. And it's, oh, shoot. Yeah, we don't have any more of that product. We're out of inventory. Sorry. I guess I forgot to tell you that.
Communication is the most underrated branding tool. We think of branding as just kind of broadcasting to everybody, but it happens in those one-to-one conversations. It happens in a 3-minute DM conversation where someone replies to your story and you go back and forth. All of that is an opportunity to build your brand. If you're communicating well with people and especially your clients, right? Staying up to date, keeping them informed, making sure they know to come to you when they have changes so they feel comfortable and confident doing that. That's all branding too.
And it also goes both ways in regards to, say we are working on a campaign, we provide a proof, and they're not honest with feedback on what they like or don't like. We don't know that unless they tell. You have to feel comfortable to say, oh, I don't like that color, or just I'm not sure about the font choice. Want to know. Our feelings won't be hurt. We don't want our clients to be, yeah, man, that really sucked. I can't believe they did that. Tell us. We want to know. We want to know if we didn't hit it like right on. If clients aren't comfortable doing that, it's probably not going to work out very well because we need the feedback. Can we get things right? Can we fulfill what your needs are? It takes showing up to meetings on time.
Asia, you don't have to deal with that, do you?
Oh no, all of my clients are totally perfect and I'm just
Oh, good.
living, I'm like a Disney princess over.
You're living in bliss. Okay.
It happens to the best of us, honestly. The more we can communicate all of that up front, set expectations up front, or even Michelle, like you said, have the audacity to say, you know what, I don't think this is a good fit. You should go work with XYZ company or person. They're going to give you what you need. It's not fun to do that, to feel like you're losing out on a client, but it's so much better for everyone if we're all on the same page and we can have that back and forth. Makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is the hardest part because you want the business, but you know they're not really a good fit. You'll take for a while. You know it's not going to be a long-term scenario. And business owners, we just have to say, yeah, I don't know if this is going to work out. You're not quite to where you need to be yet. Maybe come back in 3 months or something. And it's really hard for a business owner to do, but it sometimes just has to be that way because you're going to stress out your team in the meantime, and then they're like, hey,
That is true.
yeah,
That is true. This is firsthand experience, but I digress. We talked a little bit about, being able to play with your brands and your clients. Is there a time when you feel like you were working with a particular brand or project and maybe you were challenged, but in a good way, and maybe you had to overcome something? Can you tell us about a time when that happened?
Once again, I'm perfect and my clients,
I'm sensing a theme here.
I mean, I feel like every client I work with is a challenge in its own because what I'm doing is taking a bunch of puzzle pieces and guiding my clients as they put the puzzle together. There's always a level of challenge involved. Is the most exciting part to me is it's literally a puzzle that we're putting together, right? I have worked with a few clients, a few product-based clients, which is probably the most challenging for me just because it's a different type of business. It's a different type of brand. Certainly not a personal brand typically at that point, right? It's all about the product. Finding the balance between the person's expertise and what they've created with their product line and also highlighting the product as the solution versus the person and their expertise as the solution. Those have probably been the most challenging, but even then, the same foundational concepts of branding apply, which is one of the coolest things about branding is that no matter who or what or where you're branding, it's all typically the same stuff that you need. It's the same core foundational things that you need. I mean, if I'm being honest, like every client is a challenge because that's just the nature of the work. It's supposed to be. That's why they're coming to me, is being challenged to do it on their own, right? Going through that process with them and guiding them through the process and asking them the right questions is what gets us from point A to point B. You have to go through the challenge. You have to go through the process. Branding is super simple, but it is not easy, and it's typically not very fast either.
I can see the hard thing with the product because you want to show how you're different. But if it's the same product that they're selling over here, what is it that, why should they buy from you versus somebody else, right? That's the ultimate question. Sometimes difficult to find, well, what is it that makes yours better or what makes you unique versus this other company? And developing out what that is in your business.
What do you think is something that brands or businesses often overlook when it comes to their branding? And at what point do you think it's a good time to reach out to you or another agency? I think that sometimes brands aren't necessarily sure when that is, or they're kind of teeter-tottering. When do you think that might be the best time frame?
The thing that I think they overlook is the point, the big idea, or in my process, I call it the brand philosophy. It's like the worldview. It's the overarching thing. What's the thing? What's your thing? What are you trying to say here? What are we doing here?
Right.
Label jar situation, but also expertise is so obvious to us. It's not obvious to everybody else, but it's just so ingrained in us that it is simple. It is easy. Why can't you guys understand what I'm saying? It's so simple. It's not to everybody else. So overlooking that big picture idea, we get so caught up in the actions and the tactics and even the marketing. The branding has to come before the marketing, but we get so caught up in the, or like Michele was saying, clients who come and they're like, I need you to do all my social media posts, as if that's the goal.
Right.
And so we need to be able to zoom out and get sort of an eagle eye view of everything that's happening so that we can package it up in a way that all makes sense. Overlooking the point, I would say, is the thing that's the most overlooked. In terms of when to start branding your business, I would say, for me personally, I don't like to work with clients unless they've been in business for at least a year. Just because you don't know typically what you're doing here until you try some stuff and figure it out. Just like me with photography, I was like, I didn't even know it was going to be a business. So I had to go through the process of learning, who do I like to work with? Who do I not like to work with? What is it that I love about the work that I do? What are my clients struggling with? Which problems do I want to solve and which do I not want to solve? All of these things, sure, you can analyze them prior to doing anything about it, but it's so much more effective when you get that real life experience. And then you're like, oh, that's something I don't want to do. Like, that's a no. Or like, this is a hell yes. Having that experience, I think, is crucial. If you try to build a brand too early, you're going to waste your money because you're going to evolve. Things are going to change. Your clients are going to change. Your industry is going to change. The world is going to change. And that's going to happen regardless of if you have a strong brand or not. But if you do it too early, your foundation is going to be made with sand instead of bricks. Technically, you can build on it, but things are going to shake. The more secure you are in what it is you're trying to do here and who your people are, the better it's going to be to build a brand on that stronger foundation. There's not a hard and fast rule in terms of when to start branding your business, when to reach out to a brand strategist or a branding agency. But I think being really secure in what it is you're trying to do here and what you feel like your expertise is and who your clients are, those are the three things that you probably need and before you reach out to someone. And in terms of what's happening in your business, to give you a clue as to, okay, it's time now. A really good clue is, are people reaching out for you for things that you don't want to do or things you don't want to do anymore? Because clearly they're receiving a different message than you're trying to send. That's really easy to fall into that trap of, okay, here's a client, I might as well take them, and then nobody's excited about it.
That's a good point.
Being able to be secure in yourself and your foundation, and also what's going on outside of you. What messages are you getting from the universe that it's time to get more specific and more clear about what it is that you actually want to be doing.
That's so important. When I first started Thrive Pop, we're all back-end web development. It started out as a web shop. And I was just managing the web team. I was really passionate about marketing. And I just wanted to talk to clients about the marketing piece because they have this website. How do we drive traffic? Is the message right on the website? And it just kind of like evolved. And we've basically did a 180 and now it's marketing. Oh yeah, we can do a website too, but marketing is really what needs to be front and center. In the beginning, you don't know. You're just given this opportunity or pushed opportunity like, I don't like doing this part. That's how you grow and you learn from those mistakes or things that you're hate doing this part. Then you don't have to do it if you don't like it. Just stop doing that part.
Hire us. We'll do it.
And you guys like doing it. So it's a win-win.
I know as entrepreneurs too, we're trying to save money. I can just do that. It's like, no, you can't. You suck at that. Why are you trying to do that? Just a funny story. But we did our new logo rebrand. We're having our office painted with new colors. We got the bill and I was like, maybe I'll just like paint my own office. Olivia's like, no, do not. But I could save this much money. And she's like, don't do it because all the holes in my wall.
Yeah, no.
It's okay to not be a painter because painters exist.
Exactly.
I'm like,
Exactly.
how hard can it be? Yeah, it's like really hard. Stick to the stuff you're really good at.
Right.
Yeah. 2025, obviously, we've been in it for a little bit. What strategies have you seen using in the world or any discourse online that you're like, ooh, they're killing it with that you're like,
I'm laughing for two reasons. The first reason is because I'm much more drawn to stuff that I'm like, oh, why would they do that? The negative stuff, right?
yeah, because you can always point out the bad stuff.
I might get in trouble for this, but I do not really keep tabs on what other businesses and people are doing. I found that when I do that, I get very caught up in, we originally talked about, oh no, should I be doing that? Am I missing something? Do I need to change everything about myself and my business and my brand? The other reason is because I find that it distracts me from my own purpose and my own message. It's so easy to compare. It's so easy to have all of the info coming at you all of the time. And it's so much better, I think, when you feel that coming on, to just go back to your own brand guideline. What is Asia doing? Let me kind of reset and get back to what I'm doing. That's just me personally. I know some people, they like to stay really informed about the industry. They like to know, and I'm sure especially since you guys do a lot of marketing, that's essential. You have to know what's working and what's not. For me, I kind of just stay out of it and I do my own thing because I feel like my message is so much clearer when I do that.
Yeah.
I think in terms of what I see that gives me the ick line is just whenever I see inauthenticity, whether that's someone who's obviously copy pasting what someone else did, or you can tell that they didn't have any ideas that day. So they just went to ChatGPT and were like, write me a post about XYZ. Anything that's blatantly inauthentic, I think is a huge no-no when it comes to branding. I think it's better to not post that day. If you're not inspired, if you don't have any content ideas and your scheduled posts have run out, just give it a break. Take a step back, go back to your brand guideline, figure out what you're doing, and write or say something that's actually coming from a place of your mission, achieving your actual mission, instead of just, I need to fill this time slot on my scheduler.
To your point, I do think that sometimes when we're looking online and just looking at all the industries and everything that's happening, it's like it does kind of run down your creativity a bit.
Yeah.
You can't even hear your own thoughts because everything else is just so much out there. And it's like, no, we need to just take it back to the grassroots and of like what it is that we are supposed to be doing. And a lot of times I think that is the thing that kind of like deviates the clients of, well, my competitors are doing this and this. And it's like, okay, but is that perfect for you?
Yeah, I think it can be kind of like a power move. You want to stay informed to a point. Right. But to be able to just be, I don't care, this is what I'm doing over here. I think that there's a lot of power in being able to do that, in being able to be sort of outside your industry bubble. Like if you can zoom out and pop out of your industry bubble and either look at it from that view or just like shoot the bubble. Hey, no, this is what I'm doing. This is why it's important. This is why it matters. This is what I believe in. This is what my clients need to hear from me. Who cares what my competitors are doing?
We do see that a lot where people are so wrapped up in their competitors that they forget what they're doing. It can be frustrating. How come they can do that? How come I can't? Or that's what I want to do. It's like, well, just because they're doing that doesn't, it's just, what can we do different that is going to make
it totally defeats the purpose of branding, which is to stand out and be different. You can't expect to stand out if you're doing and saying same stuff as everyone else in your industry.
Exactly. We hear this a lot too. So-and-so's doing a billboard, so I think we should do a billboard. It's like, yeah, but we don't like billboards because we can't track them. Sometimes it's really important for branding. If you are retail based and you need to get word out, that you need people to start recognizing your name, your brand.
I will say, caveat to that is, there is a difference between getting so caught up in your industry, but also between that and like doing market research. I think it is important to know what else is going on out there so that you can say, oh, well, that's not working, or I don't like that, or they're just wrong, so I'm going to do something different. And so it is good from that point of view. But I think at a certain point, once you're on track, once you know what it is that makes you different, once you understand your mission and your purpose and your philosophy and your message and all of that is locked in, I think that's when we can do a little less market research. That's when we can pay attention a little bit less because you already know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Asia, I have 2 final questions for you.
Okay.
The first one is, if you have any branding advice out there to any businesses that are kind of ready to work with you, what would be your advice?
If you have a listener out there who's like, Asia seems like she knows what she's talking about when it comes to how to brand yourself as an expert, would love to have a conversation. And what I'd really love to invite those people to do is go grab my masterclass. It teaches you essentially the 5 things you need, like the 5 core elements you need to actually brand yourself as an expert. It's one thing to know you're an expert, to be an expert, to have all the expertise. And it's completely another for everyone else to know that expert. And your brand is the way that you do that. It means that you are choosing to be known for one definitive thing and positioning yourself as a solution to one specific problem using one specific skill set. So if you feel like you're at that point where you want your clients to be coming to you for your particular skill set, you want to be known for your perspectives and ideas just as much as your service, to become more of that thought leader role, go grab my masterclass. And it's just asiadore.com/masterclass. It's going to be a really good introduction to the work that I do as a brand strategist and also just to me in general.
My final question, which you kind of already said this, but where can people find you on the internet?
I mean, that masterclass is a great place to start. I am trying to not be on social media for a while. I'm experimenting with it, but I am in the places. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest, YouTube. But I definitely give the most love to my email list. So grabbing that masterclass is the best way to stay in touch with me.
Perfect. Well, we will make sure that they do. We'll have all those links listed below for you guys if you are interested. And I had so much fun talking with you today.
Yeah, it was great.
Thanks for being on the pod.
Likewise. This was a great conversation. It went by super fast. And I also just want to say I really appreciate you guys inviting me on, because we do similar work. And I feel like in a lot of cases, some podcasters would be like, oh, no, we don't want her. Like, she's competition. But I think it's really cool when industry experts can get together and talk about what we know and share ideas and share what's working and what's not working. I think that all industries are better when we're able to do that and view our competition more as collaborators. I think it says a lot about both of our brands that we feel like we can have this conversation because we know how we're different from each other. Gold stars for us for having strong brands in that capacity. But no, thank you so much for having me on. This has been wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Perfect. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Bye.
Thanks for listening with us today. Stay tuned for the latest in web marketing and design from ThrivePop. Want to be a pop star? Head over to thrivepop.com/podcast to join our mailing list for episode notifications, sneak peeks, listener feedback, and more.